Well, my name is Joe Adrian. I live in Troop. And when I was about to retire, I figured I can't hunt and fish every day. What can I get into that would help me keep my physique? Right? So my friend Mike, he said, Joe, he says, well, I'm in a metal detector. I have a metal detector. I said, that's a good idea. So him and I, we worked at the Chamberlain Corporation. I was there for 40 years almost. We made the large caliber artillery shells there at Scranton, So I got into it. I went and I purchased a White's detector. Since then, I've got two other ones, the Whites I've sold. Well, we've gone out and, there's so much into detecting. And first of all, I want to show you, this is a Garrett detector. This is probably one of the, Garrett makes a different model. This is an ACE 250. They make a 150, a 250, 300, 350, a 400. They make the Pro, they make the Max. Of course, the more bells and whistles that you have, the more expensive they're going to be. There are detectors now that come out with cordless headphones. You hook up a little gadget to your headphone here and put your headphones on when you get a target. You don't have to fight these coils. These coils, they catch on bar, brush, and everything when you're detecting. So it depends on what you want to buy. There's probably White's, that's a beautiful detector. I had a nice one years ago. This is a Mind Lab. A detector like this is about $250, or $150. They go to $200, $300, $400. This is a Mind Lab. This is a single frequency detector. The way the detector works is your control box, which has 4 batteries in here. Some of them, like this one, it's a rechargeable battery. In here, it's a lithium rechargeable battery, and a spare one that you can put the AA's in also. But this sends a signal to your coil. Your coil has a sort of a cone form in it, and it goes into the ground. It'll only go so deep. So the best thing to do when you start off detecting, turn your detector on now. Now what you want to do is make sure your detector is working properly. And the best way to do that is this. And it's good to have replaced knees. I don't have to throw a coin at the ground. So now when you're using your detector, right, there's probably metal in the floor here, but let's take, for instance, you're out in the field and you want to do you're detecting. Now, I've seen people out there detecting, and it was kind of ridiculous to me. Now, they're going like this, going like this. You can only penetrate so far in the ground with your coil. So now, when you go like this, you're missing everything over here, you're missing everything over here. Pretend as if you're in there and you're scrubbing the floor, you're scrubbing the ground. As far as you could, keep that level. Overlap every time you make a swing, overlap it. When you get a signal, you get a target. Before I get into that, this detector here has 5 modes to it: coins, relics, custom, jewelry, and all metal. There's not too many times that I have used most of these. Coins, I found everything, because that's what you want to find: coins, jewelry. You're going to find jewelry with the coins too, when you're in the coin mode. All metal, let's take for instance, and I have gone out, people want to find their boundaries in their yards, right? You have rebar sticking in the corners with a little red flag in there. Put it in the all metal mode. So now you go, I have found their boundaries in there for them. But as you're finding your target, you have a pinpoint mode here. you push and you hold this, and as you sweep toward that target, the sound is louder and louder, and it stays there, right there. But I've found a little easier way. I don't always use that. When I'm searching with my, well, let's do this. Let's put a coin on there. I'm searching around. How come we're not getting this thing in? Oh. What's going on here? Something happened with this one here. Brand new batteries are in there too. So we're going to go with the mind lab here. Something's killing my signal. There it is, there it is. There has to be something in here that is affecting the coils. Gotta be. But as you heard before, a little sound that came out of this when I did, I'm going to keep it up off the ground. Something's affecting the coils. When you find a target in the ground, I usually circle around like this, and I come at it from a different angle, and then I get to it and start keeping things. Now you can look at your screen, and it will tell you there's a scale on here. There's a possibility of what this target is. Is it a nickel? Is it a dime? Is it a quarter? You could follow that, but once you start detecting, you could, by hearing this particular target, you could tell whether it's going to be a coin or not. So once you determine that you have your target and you want to dig it out of the ground, you don't know how deep it is. So what you do, you take your digger, right? You take your digger out. This digger here is made specifically for metal detecting. The serrations on the side is, let's take for instance, you run into something, a target that's under a root. You're going to cut that root. And I have found rings and coins underneath roots. So now take your as you pinpointed and you found your particular target, and what you're going to do, you're going to cut a plug. Go around like a half moon, just like this. Leave this backside attached. Take your plug, flip it over. Now you've got the dirt in the hole, and you've got dirt underneath the grass. Now you want to find out where that target is, because time is of the essence. You don't want to be wasting time. You don't want to be wasting 20 minutes looking for that particular target. Where is it? So now these are called pinpointers. This is their older model, this is their newer model. This one is waterproof, this one isn't. This one you can adjust for different categories, sound and vibration. And I'm going to let you try, I'm going to let you see. So now when you go, and you have your plug up. So now you go down, and where is it? Is it in the plug, or in the grass, or is it in the hole? Now I'm going to pass these around. Just try to touch something metal.
Here, take my foot.
Pass it around and you'll feel what it is like.
I have.
And you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting your time trying to find the target. With those, you find the target very easily. And when you're in let's take for instance, you're in somebody's yard. You don't want to make a mess. So what I carry, if I'm in a nice groomed, grassy area in a yard of some sort, I carry a drop cloth with me, a little drop cloth towel, an old towel. Put it next to the hole. I dig the dirt out of the hole. I put it on the towel, right? I find my target. put my target. I carry a little bottle of soapy water. Put my target in there. If you find an old coin, that's going to be a valuable coin. You don't want to scratch it. You want to keep it good. So you put it in. Just don't go rubbing it or anything, because you can ruin it that way. So after you found your target and you recovered it, right? Put the dirt from the towel back in the hole, flip over the plug, and make sure you step on it. Always fill your holes. This is the best thing to have. And I always wear a pair of gloves, rubberized gloves, because sometimes I have found glass in the holes, or metal, sharp metal, and so forth. But getting back to what I found, this right here, let's take for instance, this is a Nazi badge, right? It's from the Luftwaffe, German Luftwaffe, given in 1942. I found one of these, and of all places, I found it in New York. Can you imagine the GI that came back from the war that had one of these? Maybe he killed a Nazi that had this. It was laying in New York, buried under the ground. Everything that you find has a story to it. Many things to it. There's also, in this container over here, there's also a pin. It's a tribute to the USS Akron, right here. Anybody ever hear of the USS Akron? Nobody? Have you ever seen the film on the news of the Hindenburg with the fire coming down, right? Okay, the Hindenburg, right? It caught on fire when it was landing at the time. That took place on May the 6th, 1937. It caught fire, it crashed, right? And there was 35 people out of the 97 died in that crash. Well, because of that pin, everything you find, you research. You want to find out, what is this pin? Why was it a tribute to something? Well, the USS Akron was also an airship. And in 1937, yeah, here it is. May 6, 1937, off the coast of Atlantic City, right? No, I'm sorry. April 4th, 1933. That was the Hindenburg. 1933, and there was a thunderstorm. The USS Akron was off the coast of Atlantic City. And what it was, that was a Navy airship. There were sailors aboard. There were 77 sailors aboard that airship, right? Thunderstorm came up. I don't know whether lightning hit it or what. Went down in the water. There were 3 survivors out of 77 people. How many people knew that? I didn't know it. I didn't know it until I investigated. When I found this particular tribute like this, everything has a story to it. I found a sheriff's badge, and I found this up in Moscow area years ago, and it was a sheriff's badge named number 187. So I called up the township up there, and I says, anybody, the sheriff's office, who's a sheriff's badge? No. So there was a township of the same name in New York, and I called them up, and I says, have you guys lost a sheriff's badge number 187? He said, wait a minute. So he went back, and he says, yeah, we got one missing, right? I said, well, I found it here, down in Moscow, Pennsylvania. A couple of days later, I got a call back from the guy, and he says, no, I don't think I I really believe that he was lying to me. He didn't want to admit that someone had lost their share of respect. But everything has a story. All this I found, rings, silver. Okay, this is all silver here. Up until 1964, the coins were silver, right? Dimes, even the nickels had 35% filled silver. The war nickels only. 3 years of the war, Second World War. About 8 to 10 years ago, I was accumulating so much. Most of them were mercury dimes and quarters, half dollars, and so forth. And I had $68.50. And by the way, what I do when I find coins, this is what modern coins look like. They're all dirty and what. Even the silver gets a little tarnished too. I have a tumbler at home and I put them in and I tumble them for an hour or so, clean them up, package them up. 10 years ago, I was accumulating so much silver, and I packaged them up, and I had $68.50, and I took them down to the coin show, right? Now, what they do, this fella down there buys silver. For melt, they melt the silver. They want the silver content. You know how much I got for that $68.50? I got $1,700. Now, don't tell me metal detecting isn't worth it. $1,700. Wheaties. These are all the old wheat coins. Well, they made them up from 1909 to 1958. I made a little display here of every year, but they don't have all the mints in here. The most valuable Wheatie is a 1909. On the back is VDB. He was the designer. And there should, underneath the date should be an S, San Francisco Mint. I have found 4 1909s, but I didn't have the mint mark. I didn't have the S. That was it. Now, just recently, this year, while detecting a local park, I'm not going to divulge my site because these 2 rings, they're called spinner rings, right? They come out the same hole. You want to pass them around. They come out the same hole, right in the same hole it was. But last fall, I was searching this same park, right? Now, oh, got the wrong thing here. Last fall, I was searching this park, and I found at least 15, maybe 16 rings. Here are some of the ones that I had found. You can pass those around and take a look at them, right? Those are silver rings. One is a little bit gold and whatnot. And then, after a few weeks and weeks of going up this particular place here, I'm detecting, and I get a signal, and I dig down, and all at once, I see this shiny gold thing in the hole. And here it is right here. And I said, oh, I got a gold coin. So I pick it up, and I take a look at it. And what do you think it is? It's a 10-cent euro piece. Euro. Well, I said, well, that ruined my gold for that particular time. 2 days later, I'm searching in the same area. Now, I get a signal, and you get used to listening. I have dug. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to let this fella hold this. This is probably the valuable things that anyone is going to find. And you're going to find a lot of it. You hold it. Don't open it up.
Don't open it.
Okay, don't open it. But 2 days later, after I found this gold euro, I'm searching the ground there, in the same particular area, and I get a signal. I said, is it another euro? I dug down, and The glint of gold is in the hole, right? I look down, pick it up, and it's a mud. I mean, there was mud up there because of all the rain, mud like mad up there. I pick it up, and what do you think it is? A 22-carat gold wedding band. Can you imagine? No initials, pass it around. Feel how heavy that is.
It is.
Feel how heavy.
22 karat.
22 carat. They don't make them any larger. 24 carat would be liquid gold. That's
No initials in it.
That's right. So I found my gold that last year. Now back in about, I think it was 2004. Because this story here that I wrote that was published in this magazine, if anybody wants a copy of it, it's right here. Back in, this book was out in 2005. This is my story I wrote and they published it. And where this was up in, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Montrose area. In Montrose, up on the top of the hill is what they call the old fairgrounds. Right there are old towers up in there now, right? And we searched up there, we didn't find anything too well. Across the valley and over on the other side is what's called the Bible Conference.
I've been there.
Yeah, okay, you're familiar with it, okay. You drive in there, when you first drive in, there's a big mess hall on this side. You go in, they got a swimming pool, they got a hall, they got cabins in there. And there's a road that goes up on top. Up on top, they park their big trailers and RVs. There's a restroom up there. And up further on top is the grave, 2 graves of the person and his wife who donated that property to the Bible conference area. Well, in this upper section up there was a tabernacle back there in the 1800s, early 1900s. So I had gone up there, I went up on top this one day, and I found a couple of Indian head pennies up above. So about a week later, Mike calls me up, Joe, you want to go somewhere? I said, I got just the place. We went up there and I pointed out the area for him to go up and search. And I said, well, Mike, there's a pathway going to the lower place where all the buildings are. I'm going to try it out in there. And I found an old woman's brooch. And he went up above. I'm coming up the path and I look over and I see these ledges. I'm thinking to myself, you have to have this train of thought. Those ledges over there, there was a tabernacle there. What would the people do? They'd probably go over and sit on those ledges over there. Well, I take a shortcut. I don't follow the path. And it's a hillside. That's what the story's named. I'm walking up there. I'm searching around, and I get a signal. And all I did was I thought it was a soda can. My boot. I wear boots up to here, by the way. I pushed the grass, the leaves aside, and I looked. 1893 Barber $50, just looking at me there. Well, so I pick it up. Over here I find Indian head penny, a Barber nickel, a Barber dime, Barber quarter. I'm finding these coins. I got about 15 coins in my pouch here. I'm looking for Mike, and I call him down, and we're finding all these coins. And within these coins are all these little old square nails, and burnt pieces of timber. So as we were detecting, and when I wrote this story, I think I wrote in the story we found over 300 and some coins. Now these coins were dated from 1864 to 1928. So I found out that the tabernacle was ripped down, probably sometime after that. And what they did was they probably bulldozed and they dumped these because the coins were not deep. Some of them were just a little bit underneath the ground. It was an inch or 2, 3 inches at the most. All the snow and water and rain going over just left those, didn't allow the soil and leaves and everything to accumulate on top of there and accumulate. But after we got all through finding it, and weeks going up there later, we probably ended up with 500 coins dated from 1864 to 1928. That's a nice. That's why I wrote the story, by the way, over there. But as you're detecting, you gotta think about what did it look like years ago. You want to go to old farmlands, anything where there's old foundations, swimming holes. I think back, what did I do as a kid? I went to these swimming holes. I went over here, went over there. And I've gone detecting and found the old things. But this one particular place up in it's called Little Rocky Glen. It's on the way to Tunkhannock. A lot of people fishing the creek there and so forth. The Aberdeen Conservancy takes care of that. They have a pavilion down in there now. Where there was an old barn before. There was a cow field. I swam in there as a teenager. But there's rapids that go down and it winds up to a big hole on the end. People have drowned in there. And I detected in there previously, on the other side, it's a wooded area. There's an old road goes up down through there, all the way down to where the pool is. It splits and goes up to quarries that were up on top years ago. I found an old hammer that they used to use. So I was detecting down in that old road on the other side this one time, and I found a couple of Indian head pennies in there, and then it hit me. If you think back and you see old photos of old pictures, everything was clear cut. There were no trees. They used the trees for construction. They used them for heat, used everything. They cut all the woods out. There was no woods. So I talked about it. I'm thinking, this side of the road, what would the people do if they were swimming over there? Well, these great big rocks are on the other side of the road. They would go over there, and they'd probably lay on the rocks and sun themselves. Go over there, all around the rocks, the old 1800 coins. Find them. You've got to use your imagination as far as that's concerned. Now, this one time, I was up in the Montrose area where this old tannery is up there. And when you're detecting, always keep your eye open, because even though you're not getting a signal, you don't know where you will run across. In East Benton, where there was an old grist mill, I happened to be walking detecting. I found 1800 coins in there. And I look and I see, all I could see is this sticking out the ground. It was like this in the ground. So I carefully dug around it, picked it up, and I find this bottle, researched it online, and this fella was a mercantile merchant in 1887 in Providence, in Scranton. But you're always keeping your eye open. But let me get back to the story about up in Susquehanna County, about this old tannery. I'm going along the creek there, and I look down, I see this unusual rock. It's elongated like this, about 4 inches across and so forth, but it almost comes down, it almost looks like an axe head. Well, I took it up to the Historical Society. What do you think they told me it was? The Indians, it came to a point on the back end. The Indians, when the hides, they would use this rock to scrape the fat off of the hides. So I gave it to the Historical Society up in Susquehanna County. Now, we do some presentations. We did one last year for South Springs State Park. Anybody familiar with South Springs? Okay, beautiful place. What it is, it's off of Route 29, about 8 to 10 miles, the other side of Montrose. And what it is it's a state park, but 97% of the funds come from the Friends of South Springs. It's an organization, just like a historical society or whatever. It's an organization that take care up there. And what they do, they put different programs on the weekends. They charge for it. And they have, at nighttime, looking at the stars, they have hikes, they have everything. It's a beautiful place. And what it was an old farm, the old Wheaton farm. the old house is there. And we went up there prior last year, and just around the house we found I think it was an 1894 barber dime in the lawn by the house. And a couple of weeks later, we up and did the presentation, and there was a barn before you went across the road to the Wheaton house and so forth. Beautiful barn. They had tables set up inside of it. 2 days later, when that big heavy rainstorm came, and you got the Silver Creek comes down, and the other creek that comes in, this other creek has 3 falls on it, and it was roaring down, and it washed all the way across. Trees fell over, knocked this barn that we were in off its foundation, did a lot of damage. They have another little rental house. It just took the septic system out, and what they do, they have a lot of expenses to do. And come August, we're going to do another presentation. They charge people to come to the presentation. But what Mike and I do when we're up there, I have these little flags, and I put them in the ground. And just underneath the grass, I put Indian head pennies, buffalo nickels, and various other items. And let the people bring their detectors, and what they find they keep. But we make sure everybody gets something over there. So that's a nice little presentation that we do. But let me see what else I wanted to talk about. Anybody have any questions and on anything? Is there anything you want to know?
About that weapon you were searching for up in...
Pardon me?
About that weapon you were searching for, you said up in the pond?
Yeah, state police called up over time, and I was just above, on the way to the potback above Lockman Pond. On the right, there was a swamp. This person was killed with a pistol in this house, and behind the house was this, it looked like it was a small pond, but it wasn't that deep. They had the fire trucks come up there, the local fire company, and they were pumping the pond out. And there was mud in there, and we had waders on and going through there with the detectives and so forth. We found soda cans, we found fishing poles, fishing reels, all kind of metal and everything, but we never found a pistol. That was the only thing. And then I think it was about 10 or 15 years ago, I don't know if anybody remembers, there was a murder committed above Homesdale. There's a Tanner's Falls, that was the name of it. There was a murder committed up there.
Falls?
They found this, what was it?
Skinner's Falls? Skinner's Falls.
That might be, yeah. The girl was found along the road there. And we had about 15 people that we were searching for evidence in there with the state troopers, and we did find the girl was shot with .22s.
Yeah, it's on my website.
And along the area there where the body was dumped, we did find 22 shells in that particular area, and they did try to prosecute this young man, and unfortunately the troopers thought they definitely had a case against him, but jury found him innocent, and that was it. So and that wasn't the paper. No, it's very interesting. If you want to get into it, I would recommend if you're going to, if you think you want to stay healthy and get out there, get a little Garrett for yourself. Get a 150, 250, 350. It's a light detector. This detector here is just like I said, 250 for this. This detector here, of course, it goes deeper. When I go to older areas, this is a heavy detector. Of course, I paid $1,400 for this. That's the thing. I want to find older stuff. Now, last year, Mike and I were up in the Springbrook area, and we were searching this farm area, and we were finding different coins and so forth in the yard by this house that's falling down. I found a beautiful old Zippo lighter with a engraving on it of a ship and so forth. And I looked online, and some of them Zippo lighters with the colored engravings on are very valuable. People are collecting them and everything. So we went to take a break, and we were sitting on the tailgate and having a drink, and we're thinking about it, and He said, Mike said, Joe, where you going? I said, Mike, you see that old wagon over there? It was an old wagon that the farmer used. A wooden wagon, just falling apart. Two of the wheels were just with big wooden wheels, wooden spokes, and they were just falling apart. I said, the farmer that parked that wagon back in the 1800s, he had to lose something over in that field over there. I went over there where I was finding these old metal buttons with a little loop on the backside. I know it. And about half hour later, got a signal about 8 inches deep. And I dig down, I use my pinpointer. 1817 large cent. Can you imagine? A large cent. It's 200 years old. I don't know if anybody's familiar with large cents, but there's so many different coins that it's ridiculous that they have. Some have stars. Every coin depends upon the condition it's in. Anybody a collector? Nobody? The condition it's in, or any scratches. Is it worn off? You have Liberty with Liberty across the top of its head. How many letters are on there? There's one here that's it's a $50. It's a Liberty $50, and there's three letters on the Liberty, and that coin alone, it's a 1913 Barber $50, Liberty $50, Philadelphia Mint. There's no mint mark, and that was Philadelphia Mint at that time. And that coin right there is probably worth $150 today, that one coin alone. Anything marked in red is sort of pieces that are a little bit more valuable. Some of the Barbers. I actually have a standing Liberty quarter too. And what it has these die cracks from the mint in it. It has die cracks, and when they mint a coin, what's on the front has to be the same as on the back, you know. Well, the one side is turned. It's not straight. In other words, the back and the front should be like this, and it's like this, and it has the die cracks in. So people collect those type of coins. I don't know. I'm not a coin collector. I'm only a detective. Mike is the guy. Mike collects coins, and he sells and buys. He sets up the coin shows. Let's see, whatever else we want to talk about. I have a couple of cards. Oh, another thing. Back in it was 2006, 2007, something like that. I bought my pickup truck, and I wanted to buy a cap for the back of it. I go to Keystone Cap on the way to Tunkhannock there, and I walk in. The salesman is there, and I said, I'm up there metal detecting, and I just stopped in. I want to purchase one of the caps out there for my pickup truck. You metal detect? I says, yeah. He says, I lost my wedding ring in my yard. I don't live a couple of miles up the road. I said, well, give me your phone number. I'll call you up, and I'll make an appointment to come up and try to find it for you. Well, we made the purchase. Weeks later, I went and got it. And then a few weeks later after that, I called him up. I says, his name was Joel. I said, Joel, I'll be up today. Try to find your ring. I went up there. It's a rural area. Matter of fact, it's not far from Little Rocky Glen there, the rural area. Just up the road 2 or 3 miles. And he points it out. He's got stone walls on the property. He said, I was throwing debris out of the field over there toward the stone wall. And he said, my wedding ring. I said, when'd you lose it? He says, 8 years ago. 8 years? What? 8 years? Can you imagine? He said, now I'm working on my floor up in the house. He says, I can't hang around with you. So he goes back up to his house, and I wasn't there 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I get a single 2 inches deep. I found this beautiful gold wedding band. It had all these designs on it, beautiful designs on it. So I walked up to the house. I said, Joel, I'm quitting. I'm finished. I'm tired of digging all that garbage that's down in there. I said, here. I said, I'm going. Here's some of the garbage. Oh, and he's so happy. Him and his wife were about to renew their vows in a week or two. Now, he said, but she bought me another ring. I said, now you got the original. No, every
Did he give you a
little.
discount on the cap?
Pardon me?
Did he give you a discount on the cap?
No, I already had the cap at that time. Oh, there's so many stories that what you're going to find, how you find it. But anybody have anything else? No questions. Usually people ask me.
Where would you buy it?
Yes.
Sir, do you do cemeteries?
Only with permission. Only with permission anywhere. Let's put it that way. We'll do the cemetery with permission. That's it. We have done some. Matter of fact, 2 years ago we were down in Plymouth. They wanted us to search this old cemetery over there, but it's in not a rural area. There's houses all around. It's a small little cemetery. The fence is right here in the backyard, and there was so much garbage, and we didn't find anything good in there because I guess the people from years were throwing garbage, and they did it. Somebody else?
Where would you buy,
Pardon me?
what kind of store would you buy the metal detectors?
Well, there is a fella, George Walco. He has a shop down in. He used to live. He had a shop in Edwardsville. He has detectors. He sells all kind of detectors. Very nice guy, older fella, like me.
That's where I
Matter of
got
fact, I'm
mine.
older than him. And he's got all kind of detectors, and they do make detectors for ladies too, and they're pink. They're beautiful. They're nice. I get emails. There is a store. There's so many stores online. Like I said, Garrett's, Mind Lab. The newer detectors are similar to this because they went away from these heavier type of detectors. And they went to a lighter, and there might be three frequencies in this detector. That one is 28 frequencies. It recycles through 28 frequencies to better search the ground. I get more depth with that than I do with this too, and I can actually tell. You get to when you dig so many targets. You know if it's going to be a coin or it's going to be garbage. That's it. But George Walco, he's in Swaryersville now. I had his cards, but I don't have them anymore. So, but there is a site online if you want. There's probably the largest seller of metal detectors in the United States is Calico. They're down in Florida. Matter of fact, that's where I purchased that detector. Calico. All you do is go online and you could scan through all their detectors, see what they are, see what their prices are, and so forth. But someone that's beginning into detecting, a little detector like this, you don't have to make a lot of expenses. Now, I've seen people come up with the bounty hunters. Bounty hunters, it's the lowest line of detectors, and they make some good ones now. Don't put it that way, but before, all they do was anything just gave them a signal. You couldn't even tell whether it was a profitable signal to dig or not. But Calico is a nice site to go to. Kellyco. Calico metal detectors. Anybody else have any? Yes.
You ever go to like Civil War areas? I know like when I was down in Gettysburg, it seemed to be big.
It's
Some of the hardware
absolutely
stores. They make-
prohibited. You cannot, no national parks whatsoever,
Right.
no national sites whatsoever. Now, if you want to do a state park, where's my paper? Anyway, if you want to do a state park, stop at the state park office and they will give you a permit to detect in their park. The only problem is you don't use the detector. You're only allowed specific things to dig with, and it's absolutely ridiculous. A screwdriver, that's it. A screwdriver or any pointed item. Now, I could do a nice job, recover the article that's in there, right? with a screwdriver, I'm ripping everything up. I think what happened, some of these archaeologists years ago, they got together and said, we don't want these people stealing it. You're not stealing nothing. We're recovering people's stuff that people lost. That's it. So that's the problem with the state park. But I found a lot of stuff up there too. Hundreds of coins, hundreds and hundreds. Matter of fact, that 1913 Barber $50 I found in the state park. That was a good find up in there. And quite near it, I think what the farm, there was farms. I have, where are they? Here. Here's how I find sites. I find sites to go to metal detector. Right? Historical Society in Scranton, right? Township maps from 1873, right? 1873. I got grist mills highlighted, I got cemeteries, I got schools, tanneries, all these interesting sites to go of different townships. I got them for Lackawanna County, I got them for Susquehanna County, I have them for Wyoming. You have to go up to Susquehanna for the maps. They'll make copies for a minimal, amount, 10 cents a copy or whatever it was, I don't remember. But that's how I found a lot of different sites. There's grist mill sites that are, the old grist mill stones are still there. They're still in the ground there. A lot of the construction from the mills are, fell down and so forth. But the stones, beautiful stones.
That 1 o'clock summit up there by Griffin Pond.
Right, Griffin Pond. There's one below Griffin Pond. I have found a lot of nice items below that. There was where the dam is. Anybody know where Griffin Pond is? You know where Griffin Pond is? Okay. The water goes out of Griffin Pond. Down below, about just 100 yards down from where the dam is, right, there's a foundation in there. That was a sawmill. That was a sawmill. About 200-300 yards further down is where the grist mill was. That the old foundation is still there, and it's great. I mean, it's a huge grinding stone is living there. But there's and if anybody tried to get it out of there, it's a big hill. There's no way you're going to get that out. You need a big construction vehicle or whatever. But another place up in La Plume, up in one of the creeks, I found another grist mill site, and I went there. And what it is, there's a physician that lives there. And he got a beautiful home. Just before you go in his driveway, he's got this fieldstone built up about this high. And on top of the fieldstone, on each side, are the 2 grist mill stones. Beautiful for his driveway, that lead in for his driveway. He gave me permission to go in there, and all I found was a quarter that somebody had shot a .22 hole into it. A modern one, by the way, that was it. Because everything was covered and everything. Any other questions? Anybody? You got anything to?
What's a barber?
A barber is the designer. They were the designers of, see, I think they got some nickels in there. No, these are Liberty's, let me show you what a barber is considered. Okay. There's that 1913 Barber. Barber was the designer of the coin, the Liberty head coin, right? The head on it, and the backside is the eagle, right? That's called, in detecting or even in metal, in coin collecting, they refer to it as barbers.
Okay.
They refer to the pennies as Wheaties, mercury dimes, They were minted in specific years.
Okay.
Before the barbers, there were seeded coins. I found a couple of seeded dimes, seeded Liberty sitting down. Now I did find in one particular area, here we are, a 2 real Spanish 1787 2 real Spanish coin. prior to 1790s, when our country started the mints, that's all they used. They used Spanish money and they used English money. There's some very valuable, let's take it up in the New England area, it's called a pine tree coin. It's got a pine tree on it. Some of them coins are very valuable. A lot of people have to find them, but this 1787. Now Mike found one of them too. They were the Cooper's Seafood House.
Down in Pittston.
Years
right?
ago, they were doing construction work back in their day. Yeah. Mike went back
went down
behind there. He found a Spanish real there too. I think there was a ferry that went across to West Pittston at the time, but he did find a Spanish real. But you don't know what you're going to find. And one other coin that I found very interesting, I found a Flying Eagle cent. Flying Eagle. They were only minted for 3 years. I think it was 1855, 56, and 57. It's an eagle with the wings spread. That's why they call it a Flying Eagle cent. It is so deteriorated that I can't even read the date on it. It's but you research it when you find something, or anything that you find, you research it. But if you want to find old places, you go to the Historical Society, you look for the township maps, and then this map here and this map here, when you put them together, the state park wasn't there. This is the Benton, and this is the South Abington one. So when you put them together, they fit together like this. You don't. There is no state park. There's no water. There's no lake. It wasn't there. Up at the state park, any of you go up to the Lackawanna State Park? Okay, all right. There's so many trails up there. I could be a tour guide. I could tell you. I have walked every mountain up there. Where going toward Fleetfield, cross over come from Waverly. Let's put it that way. Come from Waverly, cross over between the two lakes, go up to the corners there. Go through the corners, right? The pond, the Tassel Pond, is on the right before just before back before you get to Fleetfield. Tassel Pond. It's a pond for kids fishing in there. If you walk down in there, where the pond is, where the dam is, there's a little road there. There's a big gully there, and there's a big valve sticking on the ground, right in there. Well, what that was, there's a little foundation over there. That was a creamery back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. There was no pond there. No pond whatsoever. They might have had a little dam or something, but the pond wasn't like that. And the creamery. Then if you walk around, they got trails going over those pine trees, and it goes on over to there was an old road in there. And there's an old outhouse, a four-seater outhouse. His and hers, right? So the people in the creamery used that outhouse that were working there. That field over there, I found 150 old coins and whatnot in that field alone, people from the creamery. That's where you want to go, up at the state park. When you're coming in, let's say you're coming in from Waverly, and the first road to the left, it takes down to where the University of Scranton, they have their boats in there. They have a big Quonset hut, and that's right in that one cove in there. And then you go all the way out to the point. That road actually goes into the lake. That was the original road. When I was a teenager, where Mechanic Creek is, I fished in the creek there. On the bottom. That old bridge is still under the water. But now when you park it, there's a parking lot there, and there was a house in that particular area where the parking lot was. You walk across the paved road, and there's a knoll. You walk up on top of the knoll, and you look, it's an old foundation, and there's steps going down. And what it was a blacksmith shop. It's on my map. That's how I found it. Way down where the kids, where the University of Scranton has theirs, you could park your car there in that cove, walk to the left where the creek comes in. They have a walkway bridge and it goes all the way around. The trail goes all the way around the mountain down toward the dam. Well, once you cross the bridge and you get over there, there's a little old building over there. What that was, and there are poles in the ground going up the mountain to Marworth. Marworth is up on top of the hill. That old building was the landing for the ski slope. There was a ski slope there.
Wow.
So many different places. Down near the dam, way up on top, when you're in the park area, I went in there one day where the old amphitheater is. They got trails all over in there. And I walked down, I'm detecting, and I come up upon this, it was a square thing like this. I could see the stones were built up, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, what was that? Small, maybe 5 feet by 6 feet. So I detected around how it went, so I get a signal. Well, what it is, the pipes are buried in the ground. There was a spring there.
That's what I was
What
gonna
the
say.
farmers down below where the dam is today, there were a few houses down there. There was actually a grist mill down there too. It's on my map. And the farmer, that's where he got his water from, gravity flow all the way down the hill. But one interesting story though, where the park manager's house is, as you're going toward Fleetfield, across the park, go straight through the park, and on the left, the first house there is where the park manager stays. And there, just up above, there was another house. It's all ripped down there. There was an old lady that lived in there years ago. And one of the park employees told me, he said, Joe, you know, that woman, she said, when she was a very young child, she would look way over to that mountain. There was no lake over there, but everything was clear cut. You could see that mountain goes way up. And I hunted over there too. And she says, all those ledges that are up in there, she used to see the Indians. There was the Indians, I guess, around when she was there. They would go up there and they would put stuff into the various ledges that maybe to please their gods or whatever. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I went up in there, took my detector. Naturally, you're not going to find. I'm only going to find something with metal. And up there, walked them whole ledges. All I found was an old soda can. That was it. But I can be a tour, like it says, I can be a tour guide up at that place up there. I've walked every mountain. There is the old Maitland racetrack. You went to the park, all the way to the right, and you turn right into where the camping area, the little shed is, go all the way up where the water tower is, go over the top and everything, go down, and you can see where there was an old road in there. There's 2 ponds in there now, small ponds. When Moffat purchased that property years ago, he was a coal baron, and he built those 2 ponds in there for his employees. Well, right near the old Maitland racetrack. In the early 1800s, early 1900s, the farm used to race horses in there. I went in there, I didn't find it. But I've heard that someone was in there many years ago. All I found was an old penknife by a tree. And there, about this high up, there was a heart carved in the tree with initials in it. So there's been no place that in that park that I've walked. That was it.
I found
Yeah, yes.
Where was the blacksmith shop at the state park that you said? I didn't catch.
Okay, you know where the University of Scranton, the
Yeah.
concert hall, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the road goes all the way out,
Uh,
all the way out to the end. Out the parking lot's on your left, right? Parking lot's on your left. The road continues. They got it blocked off with big rocks. Continues, goes down into the lake. Okay, park in the parking lot. Big trees right in the middle of the parking lot there. I parked there when I ice fish a lot. Okay, park in the parking lot. Walk across the paved road that you're in. There's another paved road goes up. That was another road that went up and went up to where the maintenance building is now, the old park office. But cross the paved road, right on your left, you'll see a knoll, a little knoll right there. Just right in the corner where the 2 roads meet. Walk in the corner, walk up on top of that knoll, and that's where that big foundation, the old blacksmith shop was.
on the top of the knoll. Okay.
Yeah, on top of that little knoll up there. The only thing I found up there a couple of years ago, just behind there, you know these people that were putting these items with their, what are they?
Geocaching,
Geocaching,
yeah.
that's right. I found a geocache along an old tree. I didn't bother it, that was it. There was another blacksmith shop too, up at the Wallsville corners. When you hit the corners, going to Fleaville, right, you go through the corners, right on the right. And that house just up a little further, it's a house now. There was an old roadway in it. That was a gas station back in the 1930s and 40s. There's a place where where they fly the airplanes over there, too. Okay, just before they fly the airplanes on the left there, you'll see a paved area there. Well, there was a school in there. Yeah, it's on my map. That's how I found all the old places. It's a very interesting hobby to do.
Have you ever searched, there was an old schoolhouse, if you're on the road from Hamlin toward the hideout, and when you pass the hideout entrance in Lake Genero, just past Lake Genero on the right-hand side, right next to the road, that used to be an old schoolhouse where my grandmother went to school.
No, I
There's a little
never
one-room
searched that.
schoolhouse there. It's just a field now. I don't even know if you can see a foundation. in
No,
it.
never searched that up there, no. But I did search the Gravity Railroad. When you get to Hamlin Corners, make a left going toward Lake Ariel, right? Go past Lake Ariel about a mile or two out. The dirt road to the left down in there goes down. And I knew the fellow that lived right, he built a house right there, and the Gravity Railroad went right through his property. And Mike and I, we went in there, we searched that whole thing. We walked down a mile or so, we came upon this old vehicle that was in there. And I said, Mike, check the back seat. Well, he went searching through the debris that was, and he found a mercury dime in the back seat on the floor. That was it. So that's all I ever found at the Gravity in that area.
On the backside of Lake Ariel, there used to be an amusement park there too.
Yes.
And I have printouts of where what's called the 113th Infantry used to train there. I was over. See, I've searched. My sister has a cottage at the outlet, and I did find some barber coins in one of the older cottages there. But I was always trying to find out where the 109th. It's 109th now, but it was the 113th Infantry at that time. They would use the Gravity Railroad, take their horses and everything, and then go all the way around. They march around the lake to their training grounds. I never found out where the training grounds were. That's what you want to find. So many interesting places. I can't name them all that I've been to.
Like you said, permission is the main thing. I remember
Permission is absolutely.
he told me a story about two guys in Susquehanna County that were searching all day on a farm. They found a lot of coins. They're coming to their car at the end of the day. The guy's coming out with the shotgun over his shoulder. And he said, "Hey, what'd you find? Oh, look at these coins." He took him, he threw them in the creek. He said, "I'll get off my property." He never asked permission. All day, coins gone in the creek.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, got my rings here, and that's it. No, I expect to find more. Well, yes.
I'm very interested in what Sammy's holding.
Oh,
You're gonna be surprised.
Okay.
This is something that no matter who it is, any one of you get into detecting, and any one of you are absolutely, you hopefully will find what he's holding out there. Open it carefully, grab the top, pick it up, and show the people what it is. Pick it up by the top.
What?
Pick it up.
You really?
Really. Nice and easy. All right.
Bottle caps.
If you detect, you're going to find thousands of this stuff. Thousands. I have filled so many 5-gallon pails of this stuff here. I don't leave anything in the ground. If I dig a piece of garbage, it goes into the pouch. and I dispose of it properly, because I don't want to come back there and dig the same thing again. That's right. You're gonna dig thousands and thousands of these things here, whatever.
Yes, we have.
Anybody want it? Anybody want
Here you go.
it? Yeah.
Did you ever work any of these four-seaters, four-holers?
Where?
Did you ever work them to find the four-holers, the four-seaters?
No. There are
You need a
people,
long tool.
there is various people throughout the whole states here, and that's all they do is privy dig. They're called privy diggers. They dig in the old outhouses, and they find a lot of old bottles, valuables too in there too. That's it, you know. We searched around that old one that's up at the park, but there was a lot of coins around the area there.
I mean, inside.
No, I don't think, I'm not a privy digger. Are you sure nobody wants to take it home? Well, if there's any other questions, folks, if you want to take a copy of that story I wrote back in 2005, you're very welcome. Don't take the magazine, though. That's it.
Well, I thank you for an excellent program.
Very good.
We're going to be going up Edgerton with Mike and I and him and the...
By the way,
2 hours.
Mike and I are putting that program in August for the Friends of Salt Springs up there too again. August 27, 28, something like that. To create the funds, you know,
Right.
for their organization. They need a lot of help up there. It's a beautiful place up there. Oh, one other thing, when you go up to Salt Springs State Park, right? Silver Creek comes down from Silver Lake, and then that other creek where the 3 waterfalls are. There was an old woolen mill back there in the 1800s, right behind the Wheaton House and everything. Well, years ago, when I first went up there to detect it by myself, I'm walking up with the creek over there and finding these pennies, right? Modern pennies. I'm picking up, putting them in my pouch and everything there, right? I went up on the right side of this is a gully, and it's so cool. In the summertime, it's so cool in there, beautiful. And there's a story, if you read online about that, there's a story where the Indians had captured, this tribe had captured a white man, and they were camping down below there, and their enemies came, and they were up on top of these hills, and they were throwing rocks, shooting arrows down, and that's how the white person that was captured escaped out of there. But anyway, I was finding these pennies down in there, right? Up on the right side, you get up on top, there's some old stone quarries, you can see where they were digging stone out and everything. So I went up on the left side and I walked up. I got all the way up on top, and what do you think's up there? There's this great big rock, and it's called Penny Rock, and there are thousands of pennies all over this rock. Well, I took all these pennies and I put them all over. Thousands. It's called Penny Rock. The people put them there for a reason, for good luck or whatever. That's it. Beautiful place. If you ever get the chance, get up there and see it. It is absolutely beautiful up there. That's it. Well, folks,
Thank you. Excellent.
hope you enjoyed that.
Excellent.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I wish Mike was here. We could think of different things. Hey, I'm gonna be 79 years old. I'm still going. Never mind. So, and you lose the memory. That's it. Thank you, folks.
Excellent.
How the government
They called in the FBI.
Yeah.
The FBI searched the area. They wouldn't let the detectives near the area. They had them under guard in their cars for 6 hours. Then they sent them